Do you find it easy to play video games or scroll through social media on your phone for hours on end without losing focus? Well, what about studying or working on your side hustle for even just half an hour? It can be tough to muster up the motivation for those activities, even if we know they'll pay off in the long run. So why is it that some people seem to have an easier time tackling difficult tasks? And can we make doing difficult things feel easier? The answer might have to do with dopamine, a neurotransmitter often referred to as the pleasure molecule. But dopamine is more than just a source of pleasure. It's what drives our desires and gives us the motivation to get things done. Scientists have even conducted experiments on rats where they implanted electrodes in their brains to stimulate their reward system. The rats became so addicted to the stimulation that they would neglect eating and sleeping and would only stop when they collapsed from exhaustion. On the flip side, when the scientists blocked the release of dopamine, the rats lost all motivation to do anything, even things as simple as getting a drink of water. This shows just how powerful dopamine can be in driving our behavior and desires. While these rat experiments may be extreme, they illustrate the important role dopamine plays in motivating us to pursue our goals and desires. Dopamine, the feel-good chemical, can greatly affect our behavior and priorities. Your brain develops priorities based on how much dopamine it's expecting to get. If an activity releases too little dopamine, you won't feel motivated to do it. However, if an activity releases a lot of dopamine, you'll be motivated to repeat it over and over again. What kind of behaviors release dopamine? Any activity that has the potential for a reward will do the trick. However, if you know there are no immediate rewards with a particular behavior, your brain won't release it. For instance, before you eat comfort food, your brain releases dopamine because you anticipate that the food will make you feel good, even if it doesn't. Even though your brain doesn't care if high dopamine activities are damaging to you, it just wants more of it. A classic example of this is a drug addict who knows their addiction is bad, but all they want is more of that drug. Cocaine and heroin release unnatural amounts of dopamine, making you crave them even more. Almost everything releases some amount of dopamine, including drinking water when you're thirsty. However, the highest dopamine release happens when you get a reward randomly. For example, playing on a slot machine in a casino, even if you've only been losing money until that point, you expect to get a bigger reward eventually. You just don't know when it could happen. In today's digital society, we're flooding our brains with unnaturally high amounts of dopamine on a daily basis without even realizing it. Scrolling through social media websites, playing video games, or watching internet pornography are all examples of high dopamine behaviors. We're constantly checking our phones, expecting to see a text message or some other notification, and we know that eventually we're going to receive it. We're becoming like those rats pulling the lever, trying to get a new dopamine hit. But you might think, so what? It's not like it's harming me in any way. However, you'd be wrong. Our bodies have a biological system called homeostasis, which means that our body likes to keep internal physical and chemical conditions at a balanced level. Whenever an imbalance occurs, our body adapts to it. Homeostasis also manifests itself through tolerance. Do you ever find yourself struggling to focus on work or feel bored with everyday activities? You might be experiencing dopamine tolerance. Just like alcohol, your body can build up a tolerance to dopamine, which means it takes more and more stimulation to feel pleasure. This can be a huge problem because it makes it difficult to motivate yourself to do things that don't release a lot of dopamine, like studying or working on your business. But don't worry, there's a solution: a dopamine detox. It's like hitting a reset button for your brain. All you have to do is set aside one day where you avoid all highly stimulating activities like social media, video games, and junk food. Instead, you'll embrace boredom and focus on simple activities like walking, meditating, and reflecting on your goals. It might sound intense, but if you want fast and radical results, you need to take radical action. A word of caution, though: if you're struggling with drug addiction, it's important to seek professional help. Detoxing from drugs can cause extreme withdrawal symptoms, and it's important to have medical support. But if you're looking to break free from the endless cycle of seeking external stimulation, a dopamine detox can be a powerful tool. So, are you ready to hit reset and take control of your brain's pleasure response? Have you ever wondered why some activities that used to be fun and exciting now seem dull and unappealing? It's all because of dopamine, the feel-good chemical in your brain. When you repeatedly engage in activities that release high levels of dopamine, like playing video games, scrolling through social media, or eating junk food, your brain starts to get used to it. Eventually, these activities become your new normal, and anything less stimulating just doesn't feel as good. That's where dopamine detox comes in. By intentionally avoiding high dopamine behaviors for a set period of time, you give your brain a chance to recover and reset. It's like going from eating fancy restaurant meals every day to being stranded on a deserted island with only plain rice to eat. Suddenly, the plain rice seems much more appealing. If a full dopamine detox sounds too extreme, try a smaller version. Pick one day of the week to avoid one of your high dopamine behaviors completely. You'll likely feel bored, but that's the point. Boredom can propel you to do other things that you might normally put off, and these low dopamine activities can become more enjoyable over time. It's also important to connect dopamine to things that will actually benefit you in the long term. Instead of using high dopamine activities as a reward for doing low dopamine work, try using them as an incentive to pursue your goals. By controlling your addiction to high dopamine activities, you'll be able to find excitement in everyday low dopamine activities and achieve more in the long run. So if you're feeling unmotivated or stuck in a rut, consider giving dopamine detox a try. Separate yourself from the unnaturally high levels of dopamine that are flooding your brain and expose yourself to it less frequently. With a little effort, you can train your brain to find excitement in even the most mundane activities. The choice is yours. Are you going to get your dopamine from things that don't benefit you, or are you going to use it to work towards your long-term goals? Here are 10 steps to start your dopamine detox. Step 1. Determine the level of detox you want to do. Decide whether you want to do a complete detox or a partial detox, where you refrain from one high dopamine activity on a specific day of the week. Step 2. Set your detox goals. Write down what you hope to achieve through dopamine detoxing. Maybe it's to improve productivity, reduce screen time, or break an addiction. Step 3. Identify high dopamine activities. Make a list of all the activities that give you a rush of dopamine, such as social media, video games, junk food, online shopping, etc. Step 4. Plan your detox day. If you opt for partial detox, choose one day of the week and pick one high dopamine activity to avoid. Make sure to have a backup plan for that day, such as trying out new hobbies or going for a walk. Step 5. Prepare your environment. Remove any triggers that might lead you to indulge in high dopamine activities, such as removing junk food from your pantry or turning off notifications on your phone. Step 6. Create a schedule. Plan your day ahead of time and include low dopamine activities like reading, meditating, or cleaning. Make sure to structure your day in a way that keeps you engaged and productive. Step 7. Find an accountability partner. Share your detox plan with a friend or family member who can support and encourage you. Step 8. Practice self-care. Make sure to take care of yourself during the detox process. Get enough sleep, eat healthy foods, and exercise regularly. Step 9. Monitor your progress. Keep track of how you feel and any changes in your behavior or mood. This will help you stay motivated and assess the effectiveness of the detox. Step 10. Gradually reintroduce high dopamine activities. Once your detox is over, slowly reintroduce high dopamine activities into your routine. Be mindful of how much time you spend on them and use them as a reward for completing low dopamine tasks. With these 10 steps, you can jumpstart your dopamine detoxing today. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Have a motivated day.